Hey, it's me, Unapologetically T, and I am back. I just did a little video on, it wasn't little, it turned out to be long. Y'all, I wanted the video to be 5 minutes. I'm long-winded. It turned into something else, It snowballed, literally. If you go watch it, it did snowball. But it came back. So literally, yeah, I did that video. I did not intend for it to be that long. But I wanted to also do this video. And this one is about receiving. I'm a giver. I've started these videos and talked about how like I was a giver. I would give you my last, literally would give you my last, just knowing that it would come back to me. I don't care who you is, like I love everybody just about, like, and I say just about only because I have learned to not love those who blatantly show me that they don't love me. And even still, I love them from a distance. So I've been really clear, like, you know, I'm a giver, I'm a lover, I'm a lover girl, even though you see some of this anger and all that stuff is well deserved. But I'm a lover girl deep down inside. Like, I love like nobody's business. But the issue with that is that I don't know how to receive. I didn't know how to receive love. Love wasn't something that was kind of like modeled for me. Love was, for me, it was just something that was in me. And I always just, I don't know, I just loved naturally being nice to people, being loving and caring to people. But some odd reason I got put into like the pits of hell, and I was surrounded by people who literally either wanted to take advantage of it or take it from me completely. And I wasn't understanding. I wasn't understanding why. I could see that it was happening, but I just felt like if I maybe loved them more or loved them enough where they needed to be met at with love, because that's one of my gifts. Like, I know how to meet people where they need to be met at and love, and but I didn't know how to do it for myself. So it was a very interesting dynamic. Like, I wasn't shown how to give love, number one, because the love that was given to me was not great. The love that was modeled for me was not great in any aspects. I literally have been working on writing, and I literally had to take breaks from writing just because getting out really what happened to me has been therapeutic doing these videos. But when I write, you write with details, and so to write with details is very triggering. And so my writing process is literally helping me see where I have areas I need to work in. So I literally be having to take a break from it. And I think once it's completed and people read it, there are actually areas in there where like I suggest you to take a break. And because it is very heavy. And so I'm learning that love was not modeled for me in any aspect, like correctly. I would say not correctly, because it looks different for everybody, how they want love and want to receive love. But I would say in a healthy way, period. So at its base form, I didn't know what healthy love looked like. And so to me, I created my own idea what healthy love looked like. And that was unhealthy in a sense, because it was just so, it was too giving. It was too giving and not enough taking. It was not balanced. And I think we look at takers as, and I wrote a poem on this, and it's called The Reciprocator. And but we look at takers as the only toxic, fucked up ones, when takers are literally, givers and takers are cut from the same traumatic cloth. Givers and takers are cut from the same traumatic cloth. Hear me out. Both know extreme abuse. Both givers and takers know extreme abuse. To me, I feel like the givers are the people who know the extreme abuse, and they were like, you know, I never want anyone to feel like how I felt. So they become, in this extreme way, givers, and they try to give their love to others in hopes that it makes them feel better. It helps. Takers, on the other hand, cut from same extreme abuse, everybody got their different situations and all that stuff, but I'm just saying it's usually, if you want to look at it like empath, narcissist, you can look at it with any of those labels you want to put on it. I'm doing givers and takers today because it helps people not feel offended and triggered. But if you feel triggered, like I always say, you got some healing to do. We all do, so it's okay, because we all do. But let's get to it. So takers, on the other hand, like literally they view it from a lens of, you motherfuckers hurt me very badly. I'll never let anyone do it again to me. And they become the abuser. So they become the person, by having that mentality, which they really don't realize it is protection. It's protection that I will not be victimized again. I will be the victimizer. And so they literally become takers, and they thrive in that area is protection for them. To not be vulnerable is protection for them. And look, I lived on the lens of not being vulnerable. We all have narcissistic tendencies, whether you want to agree with it or not. That's why a lot of people don't even like people fucking saying narcissistic or narcissism, because a lot of people misuse it, and they just call everybody that shit. And like, everybody is not full-blown narcissistic. We all have narcissistic tendencies that we need to work on. But full-blown narcissists and full-blown takers literally are coming from a lens of, I've been extremely abused and I'm never letting that shit happen to me again. I will get you before you get me. And it doesn't even become like this thing where they're consciously thinking about it. It's just, that's the wiring that happens, just like the wiring that happens in the giver. And do I think people come born here can be narcissistic and can be, just empaths? Yes, I do think that. I think you can find that where they're naturally born to be this way, but I definitely think too, it's the nature versus nurture thing, and I think you can create people. Our world has shown us that you can brainwash people to do about anything. And brainwashing isn't just always about, feeding someone information. Brainwashing is definitely conditioning. So that's why I say you definitely can take an innocent child and mold them to be an empty vessel that allows things to flow through them that want to take. And so I literally was on the extreme end of just being the giver, but not knowing how to receive. And you gotta look at that. Like, some people will look at it like, oh, well, at least you were the giver. No, because to be the giver and to give unconditionally all the time literally leaves you in a spot where you're a constant victim. You're a constant victim. And I don't want to be a victim no more. It doesn't mean that I will never get victimized again. It just means that I will not be the reason. So when I say that, you can think of it in the context that I can't control what's going to happen to me to a certain extent. I can go out here tomorrow and someone can rob me. I am now a victim. However, I am not going to be victimized in the sense that I'm going to allow that to keep happening to me. There are some sort of aspects that, I'm going to take charge and protect myself. And we can look at that in the lens of people as well. We don't just have to look at it like being held gunpoint and, being robbed. You can look at it like people. Like, I've had these different types of abuse in my lives. If I ever see them coming again, I have set up a certain amount of tools and coping mechanisms to identify, spot, and deal with you. And so, even though being the giver seems like, yeah, you're the giver, you're the good person, and wrong to me, because literally you have to be good to yourself before you can be good to anyone else. And to be a giver to that extreme, you literally put yourself on the back burner. You become a doormat. You literally don't take care of your needs. It becomes extreme. And so it turns into self-hatred. And literally, I'm dealing with like unlearning self-hatred. I do feel like a lot of black and brown people have been conditioned to have self-hatred in them. Like my parents taught me self-hatred because they were taught self-hatred. Literally, I just explained to y'all in the other video that they were born in the 50s. My dad was born in the 40s, and literally during Jim Crow. So like they gave self-hatred because that's what they knew. They didn't know anything else. And I identify that as like slave mentality, but we're gonna call it self-hatred because I feel like to say slave mentality, like I'm literally, I don't know, it feels gross to say that because like my ancestors literally had to endure some fucked up shit. And so I want to be most respectful for those who crawled, climbed, scratched, fought for me to be able to even speak this freely today. Because no bullshit, like we couldn't do this back in the day. So like I have to honor those who had the slave mentality but still had they had to fake the funk. They had to fake the funk that they were slaves, but they had free minds. So, and even if they didn't, they still played a role. So I have to pay homage and honor to that shit. Because as I always tell y'all, for me, yes, I'm gonna put the blame where blame is due, but the ultimate blame, the root of the problem is colonization. Colonization created all of this. Colonization created all of this, and I haven't been silent about that. Like, yes, my parents were very god awful and wrong, but they were taught this behavior. It was passed on generation to generation because of the things that was done to my ancestors. We were treated like cattle. We were bred like cattle. We were literally, you want to talk about hypersexuality in the black community, rape culture, it all came from the colonizers. It's their rules. It's their rules. It's their way. And the devaluation of human life comes from them. So yes, I place blame for what had happened to me from them, but I know the root of the problem started way before them. This shit has been deeply in the bloodline, and it's finally getting broken, and it came from them. So I'm not naive to that. So I have to pay respect, because when I said in the other video, Miss Slave Mentality, it ain't sit right with me. It felt like I was dishonoring those who had came before me that literally had no fucking choice. Had no choice. So some people still mad at Kanye about, slavery was a choice. I understood what he was talking about. Now, do I understand all that he's talking about now? No, I really don't. I can't go there. But that's a part about freedom of speech and all that stuff. I'm gonna move along. I'm gonna move along. I'm gonna go ahead somewhere else, because yeah, that I told y'all, like, I did a video, I haven't posted yet, but like I did a video talking about, I'm gonna post it today, but I did a video talking about how like I'm just watching the show at this point. Like, this is a show. I have to turn the TV off. I have to turn the TV off, whether it's the TV on the TV in there, whether it's this phone, whether it is talking to people who wants to talk about the show. It's like I have to turn the TV off. And it's funny, I just had a flashback. And this guy was like, people just don't want to turn the TV off. Like, now I know, like, I have to turn the TV off. Like, I have to turn the TV off and just live my life. Because watching this show will have you stuck in watching this show. You all up. You got all these opinions about shit you don't even really know what the half of. You only seeing snippets and clippets and tweets and twits. And it's just like, I ain't watching this show. I'm watching a very crazy show right now. And it's like, you have to be careful what you feed your mind. So I've been very, 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 very strategic about that. What am I putting in my brain? Because if I'm not careful, I gotta sift through this shit. And once again, I'll be here 10 years later trying to sift through some bullshit that I ain't even had to have there. So I've been very strategic about that. Matter of fact, today I am going to be reading decolonizing your mind, the mind. I forgot. And I'm supposed to have it read by the end, 2 chapters read by the end of this month, and so I gotta get to it. And we're gonna see where that lead me, because that'll be interesting. But just to get back to the actual topic of things, I want to be careful how I speak about my ancestors, because my ancestors sacrificed so that I could be here. So many people came before me so that I could be here to do these videos, so that I could live my life, so that my daughter could be here. And I have to be respectful in that sense. So to be a taker, to be a giver, to me, is living off 2 extremes. And I don't think that you can sit there and look at the taker as the bad guy, and not look at the giver as the person who is literally, what do you call that shit? Like, enabling. So you're enabling the takers. The giver, the extreme giver, enables the takers. So it's like this cycle. It's this cycle that goes around. So like, I am trying to break this cycle, because I was never taught to receive. I was only taught to give. And so not only was it in my heart to be nice to people and love people, I literally was conditioned by being mistreated at home and still having to love you. And so I was conditioned. I was already born this way. I was already born like just sweet, loving, and nice. Like, I just remember just always, that was my first go-to. Even after going through all this abuse, like, that is my go-to. I love to give love. I love to love others. But I've had to be very intentional that I need to love me first. And that's not selfish. And I always felt like that was selfish, because I felt like if I be selfish and not take care or love me or do for me first, I'm going to end up like my dad. I'm going to end up, like these extreme cases of people. Like, granted, my mom, she never hoarded resources from us. Like, but my dad, like, hoarded resources from us. Like, it was for himself. Like, he was a taker. Like, he was a true taker. Like, my mom, she was a manipulator. She would use, her doing these things for you as a way to throw it in your face, so that when you don't do what she wants you to do, like, she can remind you of what she did. And so, like, I had 2 different extremes of this stuff. And so it was like that. My mom's conditioning made me feel like I don't ever want to give anybody the upper hand and be like they did shit for me. So I just became this extreme independent person. Like, and even if I would ask for help, like, it extended outside the house too. So if I would ask for help inside the house, like, if she wasn't in the mind frame to help because she's a single mom and she's going through all this different shit, like, I got yelled at or fussed at, like I was being an inconvenience. No one wants to feel like they're being an inconvenience. So like, I literally grew this hyper independence. It was like just brewing and growing. And so it's just this giver mentality shielded with all this other different shit just left no room for me. It left no room for me to give myself love, which in turn meant that I didn't know how to receive love from myself. What is that? What does that look like? And I'm learning that now. Then I did not know how to receive love and help from other people. To receive love and help from others made me feel like I was weak. It made me feel like it's like basically saying that I'm not okay. And to allow others in is to say I'm not okay. And like, it's learning now at 35, like, this is crazy. Like, to learn that now, it's okay. And to learn that I can't believe it's been like, that's crazy. It's been a whole year and I've grown a whole lot. And I'm sorry, I just had that moment. Like, I've grown so much. But it's okay to get help from others. Like, I was hearing it was something on Instagram where a lady was talking about, like, we push for community so much. We push for the idea of community so much. But you have all these community leaders who, want to be the givers and help and do for the community, but we're the main ones who don't want to receive the help. We're the main ones who don't want to receive the community when it's our time and need. And it comes from a lot of trauma too. It's like that not being able to receive comes from trauma. It is a trauma response. Whether it be like, because like I said, this extended outside the household. Like, so once you get out the household and you might try with other people, you might find out that people talk shit about you when you ask for help. You might find out that, people dissect your stories and make it whatever they want to in their mind. So when you do get to be vulnerable and share your stories, like, people want to eat them apart. So a lot of people don't even like talking about what they need help with and, what's going on in their life. A lot of people take your stories and want to gossip and talk shit about you once again. And it's like, I've just gotten to this point where, like, I don't really care about how people view me, what people think. And my journey has been my journey for a reason, because I didn't have the help, because I didn't, have those people around me to pull me up when I needed pulling up and when I needed help myself. I got to see how really strong I was, and I got to see now that it was my turn to reflect on who I am, I get to see who I am. Unfortunately, it shouldn't take that I had to go through all these extreme things, but I know who I am because of what I went through and how it never changed the love that I have in my heart. It hasn't stopped me yet from loving other people. And it's finally, like, life has finally clicked for me that it is time for me to love myself, and I'm doing it. And I don't know what I'm doing every day, but I'm showing up for myself every day the same way I would if you called me on the phone and say, hey, look, I need you. I'm learning to now show up for me that way. I thank God that God has cleared the phone line for those who would call and say that they need me right now, because to have called me during these times and wanted to need me, it's kind of fucked up. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm not gonna say, like, like, literally, I was transparent and clear. My life was in shambles, and it was like a lot of people, not a lot, but it was some people in my lives that was like literally still trying to drain me of my life force energy. And it's like, you see, I'm in a rebuilding phase. I have nothing to give nobody. And I mean that. Like, I have nothing to give nobody right now unless I am called to do so. But, like, I can't just give myself blindly anymore. I have to focus on me and my child. Like, period, point blank. Though, that's my focus. Me and her. That's my circle in this life right now. However, I do have an inner circle. And fortunately for me, they are like me. And, they literally get it. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. But I did have to weed and seed some people who literally thought it would be okay to take advantage of me during one of my hardest moments in life. I said one because there's many. But one of my hardest moments in life, it was more of like, let's see what we can get her to do, because she gives. And so I am not a blind giver anymore. I am learning how to have balance. I am learning that any relationship that is healthy and worthwhile in my life has to be this flow of give and take. We are all meant to be used. We are not meant to be misused, abused, and mistreated. And I have to keep reminding myself, like, you are here to be utilized. Every one of us are here to be utilized, but we're not supposed to be misused, abused, and mistreated. And any relationship that I move forward with in my life, like, it literally has to be a flow of give and take. And it is not what I was taught as far as my mom. Like, my mom taught me this tit for tat, exchange. And it's like, it was very manipulative. Like I said, like, it was like, yeah, she would do for you. So she was a giver and she was a taker, but it was very manipulative in the way that it would reciprocate. So it was like, you could be down and not feel like doing anything, and it's like your time was obligated because of what was done then, and that's not healthy either. That's guilt tripping. That's using manipulation, and it's tit for tat. I don't want a tit for tat relationship. And it went the other way around too. So, like, not only was she using it for, herself, but like it became this revolving cycle for us. Like, so we're constantly doing things out of guilt. Like, so I'll give the hospital example as one. When I went to the hospital in 2024, she was sick and she wasn't feeling well. And some people would be like, oh, well, she loved you because she came all the way down the road because she was sick. And however, she was sick and she was at home. But when I was in the hospital, she had actually had to come down here. So, like, yeah, she was mad. So, like, when I was in the hospital and you thought like I had lost my mind. You thought that like I had lost my whole complete mind. Like, she literally tried to add stress onto me. She tried to start an argument, and she didn't even try. She started an argument, picked an argument while I'm in the hospital. Like, the nurses were able to observe that. Even one of them apologized that I had to go through that, like, while I was in the hospital. So it was like seeing that, like, oh, this isn't like normal. This isn't like, this isn't right. And so then when I do get back home, it's still that same energy. So it's like her not realizing that, like, she was sick and tired, she should have stayed at home, caused me more problems than her trying to come to my rescue. So, like, some people will look at her like, oh, well, she loved you, so she came anyway, she sacrificed herself. Let's normalize, if you ain't up to coming. I don't care whether it's physical sick. I called this sick because I just felt like she was mentally sick. I don't know if she was physically sick or not. She's very old, so, like, she could have just been worn down, tired, sick. Like, I'm just calling this sick because it was very sick what was going on. So literally, if she would have normalized prioritizing herself, she wouldn't have projected all of that onto me. And it was interesting because, Charlotte had support. She had support that wasn't trying to stress me out. She had support that literally told me they understood what I was going through, and they didn't call and try to upset me. They didn't, do those things. And so I just found it interesting, just reflecting back on those things. Like, loving out of obligation isn't love. Is not healthy love anyway. I even see that with my child being a single parent and being tired sometimes because I'm with her constantly, being tired, and I don't have her father to rely on. I don't even have Dante anymore to rely on for a break. And then when I leave her here, like, I have to deal with emotionally whatever she's feeling, because when I'm out of the picture, it feels like emotionally whatever's going on here when I'm not around, like, shit, I know I'm a grown-up and emotionally is not right here. So, like, leaving her here is like, feels negligent on my behalf. Like, I'm being a negligent mother to leave my child in this environment, and I gotta come back and help pick up her pieces. And I will say that it has helped her see things for what they really are, but I still don't want to do it because emotionally you guys did not take care of me. So emotionally, as an adult, you're still trying to turn me down. So I can only imagine what's going on with the kid. And she tells me, so like I do know from her standpoint what's going on, and I don't like it. But just saying that, I don't know where I was at, because I just got that's a hard thing for me. Like I can't, the can't get a break thing. So like I'm constantly, with my kid, and so because I'm constantly with my kid, and I don't get those refreshers like I should. I call breaks refreshers. Like it's like taking a vacation, kind of like you take your vacation, so like you can just come back and be like, whew. And it's like with me, I don't always get those moments, because even when I do get to take a break, I literally don't feel like she's safe. And it comes from my trauma. It comes from me being left with other people, and definitely here. Like it just comes from, it's going to naturally come up. Like, so I've never fully, even when I'm letting her go to places, like I am praying. I am praying hard. And it's not just the like, God, watch over my child. Like I'm praying that like, oh, I hope my child is not being sexually abused. Like I hope my child is not being mind fucked and manipulated. Like I hope my child is not being mentally abused. Like I am praying that what happened to me is not happening to her. And it doesn't matter whether it's with my family or if it's with someone that I actually do trust. Like it's just that that's a wound that I have to work out, that she's safe, I'm safe, and we're okay. So because I have that, I love a lot of times out of obligation, because I'm tired. I'm tired, and I really, I'm doing this because I'm supposed to, but I don't necessarily always feel like it. And I'm trying to learn how to work through that. Like, because I do want to have more kids, and she's getting older. So, like, my obligation to do a lot of the physical stuff has let up a lot. Like, I ain't got to be responsible for her meals and all that stuff. Like, she can get in the kitchen and cook. She can, do all these different things for herself. But like, if I decide to have more kids, and I literally would be restarting this whole process over, and I don't want to show up loving from obligation. So that's why it's really important for me to like pick someone who, or choose someone who, and I feel like that person is already chosen by God anyway. Like that's where my thoughts is. Like I have chosen this person, spiritual realm, God has chosen this person, and we just waiting until we make contact with each other, and get ourselves together. Like we get our shit together before we, unite here. And so I literally am very, 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 very I'm